Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're checking out a game in the Hayate. That's right, they're coming. Been playing a few games tonight in this ship. I think it went 5-0. But I'm seeing a lot of Hayates out and about. So as the week continues, more and more players are going to be unlocking this ship. And we're going to start to see a lot of destroyers and a lot of new players playing those destroyers in the higher tiers. So raise your hand if you were around when the Udachi launched. This was, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. I think it was one of the first widely available destroyers as a campaign ship. And of course, it's a Japanese torpedo boat, much like the Hayate. Set up properly, the torpedoes are much shorter range, but they're blistering fast and they hit like a truck. Very good at blowing things up with the torpedoes, right? But what we're projected to see here, if anything, if history is any sort of indicator, is we're going to see a lot of kind of amateur destroyer plays. And in fact, the Udachi, when it launched, you could, if you were wagering on the matches, you would typically bet against the team that had the most Udachis, because those are typically going to be misplayed. Well, how are you going to be misplaying a torpedo boat? All you got to do is get by battleships and then blow them up, right? Well, no, not in this game. If we're trying to win the game, we need to be doing the destroyer rolls first and foremost, and then we need to examine our actual destroyer and then to figure out how we do those rolls. What are the rolls? Capture and control the bases, counter the enemy destroyers, and spot mostly ships, but also torpedoes as well. We'll see a little bit of that in this game as well. So if you're doing those rolls, it doesn't really matter what destroyer you're in. You should be winning a lot of games. Now, each destroyer is quite, each nation's destroyers are quite different from each other, and they have kind of their own set of tools to accomplish these. Take the Japanese destroyers, for instance. A lot of people don't even fire the guns in these Japanese destroyers. They just rely on the torpedoes. Well, the guns themselves hit quite hard. The problem with them is low damage per minute due to the long reload, okay? But you don't want to be shy about using these guns. Now, take this case, for instance. All right, we're attacking C. We know there's no destroyer in the immediate vicinity. Why is that? Well, there's no carrier, so we don't have goofy spawns, and we have 3 ships sighted in front of us that spawn on C. Oh, and they're all battleships, right? So we're clear to take this base as long as we don't allow these battleships to push into us. So we got some torpedoes down there. If we hit someone, good. If we don't, fine. But what we're doing, we're sitting in the cap. We're capturing the base, of course. That's job number 1. But we're also sitting here providing spot, and you can see we got a couple battleships utilizing island cover, stacked exactly on top of each other to the north of us, but that's all right. If they can fire shots without taking return fire, that's a good trade for them. So providing that spotting, useful. But now that we know we've captured C and we also know there's no destroyer threat, all right, do we need to be sitting here in these high tier battleship battles where they just sit bow in and shoot each other for 10 minutes? No, not a lot going to be accomplished there. So we got, and the way I have the Hayate set up, not focused on the torpedo reload. Probably could optimize the build a little bit more. I do have the AA in slot 1 on the commander build, but we do, in my build, we're subjected to a long reload, 2 minutes. So waiting to get some more torps off. I'm moving into B. You can see they did capture B, the red team, but their destroyer was last seen heading south. Okay, and in fact, we can see now that our battleship's on there. It is continuing to be contested, so there's at least 1 destroyer on there. But we want to be moving into this position, right? Go back to the objectives. Capture the bases, counter the destroyers. That's our play, all right? So while we're doing these objectives, that's when the fun begins, okay? We have 10 or 12 kilometer torpedoes on this build. You can boost that even more if you want. Good Japanese torpedoes. And yes, we're torpedoing battleships, but we're doing that while we're doing the other things, all right? Don't get bogged down in the amateur approach to the destroyers, where they focus on torpedoing battleships first and foremost, and usually they don't even bother with the actual goals for the battle, or the destroyers rather. They just 100% do that. They launch the torps, they sit there while the reload goes on, then they launch another set. Don't be doing that. Just get on the bases here. You can see we're actually capturing B now. We got C earlier, and we're using this twist and track. Where's the destroyer? Well, he's right on the other side of this island. I'm hoping to come around here and catch him unawares, but due to the fact that he's no longer on the base, he's probably moving in towards C. If I'm that destroyer, I'm looking on the map saying, okay, there's a good chance the destroyer in C is gone. If not, well, I got 4 battleships supporting me here. Let's go try and spot that destroyer, capture C. And that's exactly what he's, in fact, doing. That's the good play. I was hoping to sit here in this gap and to spot these guys. And look at this. We actually hit 3 battleships with the same launch there. We hit one with the Jean Bart. We did spread the launch out. I was targeting 2 different battleships. But then we hit the second battleship, and then the dude behind him wasn't paying attention, even though the torpedoes were spotted for at least several seconds, if not longer. He actually took a couple of those as well. So we managed to hit all 3 of those, getting some fine damage, sure. But that's not affecting the win condition, right? Those battleships are sitting on the back. They're watching the game go by. You know, if we can do some damage, fine, we'll take it. Ain't nobody against torpid battleships, but that's not actually affecting the play, right? The guys that are affecting the play are the dude on C and then various ships on B, really. The battleships, to the extent they're having the effect on the red team, they're just kind of supporting C, but you know, whether or not they're getting any good shots clumped up there doesn't seem to be going too well for them. All right, so we're coming back in here now. An advantage here is we will be able to spot most of the battleship fleet for our team. They'll be firing from all different angles. Those ships will get wrecked pretty quickly. But what we need to be careful of, we're moving into the destroyer, right? Who's capturing C. Fully intent on spotting him, fully intent on shooting him on contact. There he is, and we fire immediately. What does that subject us to, though? If those battleships are paying attention and they're inclined to shoot destroyers, they're in a good spot to do it, right? We're within 10 kilometers of a couple of them. You can see secondaries coming off the Bismarck, in fact. And all those guys could hit us with the main guns if they want to. So we immediately pop the smoke, get some damage on the guy. Bismarck, oh god, you don't want to turn that way. Okay, so he knew we were there. His secondaries were going off. He now can see the smoke. Unfortunately for him, he's actually turning into the torps, and that looks like a kill shot in my book. And that will certainly end the Bismarck's reign of terror. So get him with 2-3 torps there, and boom, he's dead. And immediately we go back into number 1, capturing the base. That's going to be a juicy set of points, credits, everything else. And I want to get back into position, hopefully, to spot this destroyer. At this point in time, his so-called support, 2 battleships, they're both occupying the 10 line on the map, which is strategically insignificant. And in fact, they don't look like they're probably even going to have some good shots at us at this point. So just moving forward here, trying to get away from that smoke, expecting torpedoes to be going in there as sort of a revenge strike. In this position, if we do see torpedoes, I'm trying to angle mostly towards that destroyer, but we may actually spot early these torps, and in fact we do there. So a little bit of warning for our team. If we were actually on the mic, we would say, yo, everybody check the torps. Coming in hot, but hopefully they're paying attention, and it looks like they are in fact reacting. Hayate getting a little bit frustrated here, sees his torps are being dodged, and now the other destroyer, maybe he spotted him as well. I don't know if the Hayate shot first or if Han Solo did, but either way, he's taking shots. We're moving back into our smoke. It's down, it's deployed, we might as well use it just to keep yourself safe from return fire. Everyone's piling on. We're capturing the 3rd base, by the way. Ooh, boom, do 2 full captures and 1 partial capture. We'll take that all day, every day. You'll see that reflected in the score at the end. And the destroyer, great work with the Oyster and the Odin and everybody else that was shooting them, probably a cruiser. Everybody in the team piling on that guy. So that really removes their chance of winning. Once you've killed these destroyers, the backline Bettys, of course, they ain't going to do anything. They're going to get dogpiled by everyone. So if you unlock the Hayate, it's a very good destroyer. Okay, I enjoy playing it, but don't be a liability to your team. Make sure we're playing the destroyer role, capturing the bases, countering the destroyers, spotting the targets, and get the torps in while you're doing that. Okay, it's a brilliant piece of equipment. Guns work just fine. Torpedoes hit hard. Overall, solid destroyer. Don't misdeploy it. That's going to be the downfall of the Hayate players that aren't fully up to date with what's going on. That's a look at the Hayate for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. Hey, new to the channel, consider subscribing. We've got lots of World of Warships coming through all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.